Let me ask you something. Do you remember being wild? Do you recall the feeling of being away from it all? Away from the artificial world, or have you completely forgotten? We humans have short memories for the past, always looking and moving ahead at breakneck speed. And that is why today I want to take a brief moment to remind you of something that you may have lost along the way. Welcome to the Wasteland, my friends. Hey everyone, this is Chris and you are watching Wasteland by Wednesday. Now on this channel we're always talking about the collapse of civilization and getting prepared for it, and that doesn't change today with this video. But I am going to talk a little bit about an aspect of prepping that often gets lost in the shuffle. That aspect is reconditioning yourself, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. While I do so, sit back and enjoy a nice little flight along the Lava Butte Wash here in Nevada, an excellent place for deep thoughts. Things are different in a lot of ways for us modern people compared to our ancestors. And I'm not talking about ancient ancestors really, I'm talking about ancestors who, for some of us, may even still be alive. Not too long ago, we spent a lot more time out in the natural world than we do today. We didn't necessarily have to live in the country or out in the wilderness to do so either. The nation as a whole was a bit more rural than it is now, less condensed into urban sprawls of concrete and steel and more spread out across the land. Even within our cities just 25 or 30 years ago, we spent more time outside and less time inside. Every aspect of life was more spread out. Even work was, for the most part, less cramped. But now we spend the vast amount of our time clustered together in offices and things and still separated by cubicle walls erected to cut us off from human interaction. Those cubicle walls are like the blinders they put on horses so that they can't see the world alongside them and become distracted by it. Keeps them focused on the task, on plodding forward. Beast of burden. That's what we've become, domesticated and tamed and well suited for our societal tasks of being productive and supporting members of our advanced civilization. Like plow horses, we wear the yoke of the daily grind and we aren't really that bothered by it. But that's because we don't know any different. We have forgotten what life was like before the yoke, and for many of the younger generations today, they were broken to the harness from childhood. Not only do they not remember, they never even knew. The outside world was denied to them by rules and safety and overbearing parents who had themselves forgotten the freedom of the so-called dangerous world outside their doors. All they remembered were the bad parts, the predators, the elements, the harsh landscape. And so, products of conditioned domestication, they in turn raised their offspring sheltered from the wild world. And that was a mistake, a big one. Sure, it seems like the opposite. Seems like being watched and held closely within society was the safer and better option to keep them all alive and well, but was it? We talk a lot about how dangerous it is to be out and away and unsupervised, but given the state of our society, doesn't it now seem even more dangerous within the walls than without? The school shooters are within. The dangerous drugs are found inside. The Epsteins and Prince Andrews of the world, they're in here, they're not out there. We have been so domesticated and tamed that we trust our children to people we don't even know, and often to people that we never even knew they were exposed to. How much do you know, really, about the dentist that works on their teeth when under anesthesia? How well aware are you of their online activity and the folks that they chat with while playing these online games? How many times have they perhaps walked the halls of school or the mall or a festival with some deranged person who was considering shooting up the place, but just who hadn't worked up to it yet? Do you remember a time when those things weren't dangers? Because I can tell you when. It was when your children were raised at home, on the farm or the ranch, getting their education from a tiny schoolhouse and a teacher you yourself had grown up with. A small town where you knew every single person and there was no internet to reach out any wider. Where a real sense of community actually existed and everyone played a part in supporting it directly. where people could roam for hours and hours out into the countryside and never encounter another human soul. Those times are long gone, I know. They are lost to progress, although I'm not really sure we can call it that. Progress is only progress if things really improve, if life improves. Not gets more profitable, not quicker, cheaper, or easier, but if it actually gets better to live. And it hasn't. It's only gotten less fulfilling and more dangerous. And we have forgotten where the dangers really are. We've actually walled ourselves up with them. Sure, the outside world, the wild world, can be dangerous as well, but it's in different ways. Those risks can be more actively defended against because they're simple and direct and open. But the dangers present in society are different. They're hidden and complex and insidious, not so easily seen or avoided. We think we're safer inside because we've been conditioned to live with the risks, to ignore them, and to depend on our overseers to protect us from them. And to an extent, that has worked pretty well for a long time. But it isn't really working anymore. The social contract is decaying, and the rule of law gets exposed more and more each day as a conditional thing rather than something that applies equally across the board. To put it simply, inside is no longer a safe place. It was once when we kept the danger out, but now we find that we've walled ourselves up with the worst predators of all, the human ones. And not only that, we've given them control of the system. The sheltering walls have become prison walls, and we never even noticed. They may still protect you a bit, but it's a different kind of protection. You're protected in the way that a farmer protects his herds, to keep them for himself to feed on later. But the walls are crumbling now, which is where I finally get to my point. The walls are falling apart, and the society within them is riddled with rot anyway, and neither is going to last much longer. Soon, all of us will find ourselves outside and back in a wasteland world that is still dangerous, but just in a different way. And we need to make sure that we're well adapted and ready for that world. The world we live in today, the high-tech and connected new world with all its rules and laws and systems that keep things on track, all of that is becoming destabilized. And one day soon, it's going to go completely off the rails. We will all find ourselves thrust violently back outside into that old world we have spent so much time and effort avoiding. So that is my preparedness challenge for you today. Take off your blinders. Get outside the walls for a while, and I don't just mean to the neighborhood park or the community center pool. Get out there, really out there to where the sidewalk ends and where the wild things are. Expose yourself to the world and get in touch with the wilderness and encounter something that makes the old instincts rise up inside you again. The dangers of society can sometimes be frightening, but I promise you that there is something entirely more primal in the feeling that rises up when you glance over and suddenly find yourself under the gaze of a mountain lion or a bear or mere feet away from a poised and warning rattlesnake. If you haven't felt that feeling before, I can't really describe it to you, but I can say that nothing awakens the lizard brain in all of us like an encounter with the real world. You need to become reconditioned to that world. Collapse is coming, and this current world is going away for a while, for long enough that we can call it a permanent change. The old world is the world that always was, the world that we naturally evolved to inhabit just like every other animal, and that's the world you need to be ready for. So start now. Get outside. Not just outside your doors or outside your neighborhood, I mean outside the walls of civilization entirely. Learn what it's like to be out there, to become comfortable with the sounds and smells and dangers as well. Make that world your world again. Shed the tamed conditioning of society and go be an animal for a while. Build a shelter out of the world around you. Kill something, prepare it, and eat it. Bathe in a cold natural stream and maybe even lock eyes with a cougar passing by. That world outside seems dangerous and scary, but I promise you that is mostly your conditioning talking to you. You aren't a wild animal anymore or even an uncivilized human. You are, for all intents and purposes, a house cat or a sheepdog. Strong and capable according to societal standards perhaps, but a pale shadow of the creature you're descended from. There are very few lions and wolves left in this world. But you can reclaim that past. It's still there, in your blood and your subconscious mind, in your DNA. You are still the beast that conquered every other beast on this planet, and you just need to get reacquainted with that mentality to reclaim it. Most of that process won't fully unfold until society is truly a thing of the past, but making the start now greatly improves your chances of surviving collapse to see the rest of that transformation take place. And here's a secret I haven't mentioned on the channel really. I always tell you to stay safe and stay ready because it's a wasteland out there, but the meaning is that you need to stay safe and ready because of where you are now, not because of the wasteland. The wasteland has its dangers to be sure, but they are natural ones that our species has been fighting and conquering for millennia. Simple, primal, and openly displayed dangers that a well-conditioned person can deal with. The wasteland isn't something to be afraid of. The wasteland, for all its faults, is actually something to look forward to. That is why I say welcome to it all the time. And as collapse gets underway, it may well be a true wasteland out there. But it is so much worse inside where you are now, behind the walls with the human predators. So get out, stay safe, stay ready, and get out, because it's a wasteland out there, and it's so much better than where you are now.